Hello everyone, it's Amy and welcome back for week 28 of budget crafting. And today we are going to make an ornament that you can hang on your tree or that you can use as a sun catcher. So it's not like a one time of year item. You can make this for any time of year. I like them hanging in my window. I have one hanging in the window in my art room. So so what we're going to need is a pop bottle, with the flat sides instead of like all ribby and everything. Although the ones that have the ribs in them, I've never tried it, but they might look pretty too. So the first thing you're going to do is just find a spot where you can get your scissors under the label. Whoops. And then just remove the label from the pop bottle. Well, I guess the first thing you're going to do is wash out the pop bottle. And then you're just going to go ahead and remove that. Now you're going to still have some left over here, and that's all right because it's not really going to get in the way. You don't have to have your plastic that long. And then what we're going to do is we need to cut into the bottle. Now for me, I find it easiest to use an X-Acto knife. Be very careful. And if you're not comfortable with it, maybe a pair of scissors with a sharp point on them that you can poke in and then cut with the scissors. But you're just going to poke in. I like to find there's usually a line. Where the label was, there's a line kind of at the bottom of the bottle, and there's kind of another bit of a line up here. Well, on this one, there's not much because this is like a dented line. On a lot of them, they have a dented line up here also. You also could cut it before you take the label off, and that would give you some, a straight line to follow. So I'm just going to follow this dented line here, kind of, with my X-Acto knife. And once you get a hole poked in it, you can stick your scissors right in there, and you can use your scissors to cut it. Especially if you're not real comfortable with the X-Acto knife. It does not have to be perfectly straight or anything at this point in time. So don't worry about that. Just remember to be very careful with your knife. I'm going to kind of extend it just a little bit so I can get it in there a little further. And then you're just going to cut to where you started. Being very careful when you get to that last point. Alrighty, and then what you're going to do is you're going to cut it around the top section also. So now that it's, I'm going to go above where I think that line should be, just so that we'll get the top off, and then I can use my scissors to straighten everything up. There we go. Now, if you have a bottle, a glue bottle with a small point to it, these make great glue holders. You can take your glue and put it upside down in there like that whenever you're working, and that holds your glue upside down so that when you go to use it, it's right there at the tip and you're ready to use it. Pop bottles are a little bit small, so you need smaller bottles to do that with, but you have bigger type juice bottles or whatever to hold your bigger ones like your tacky glue and that type of thing, where the top of the bottle will fit right in there and it will sit on there upside down very nicely. So, but that's something you can do with this. There's lots of other things you can do with plastic bottles. So what I'm going to do now is I am just going to cut it up the center, and I'm going to cut it where it has all that extra stuff on it, because that way it will be on one end or the other, and you're not going to have to it's not going to be in your way. You don't want it right in the middle, so you want to cut it at that point. Now I can kind of see the line where the right where the label was there, and here where I've got this rounded over part, it is making it very bumpy. So the first thing I'm going to do is kind of follow that line where the top of the label was. I'm just trying to kind of hold it in my light so I can kind of see it, because it's not a very defined line. There we go. So we're going to get rid of that because that's got a lot of rounded to it. All right, now this is fairly flat. We're going to close this up, which I should have done as soon as I was done with it. Okay, and then what you're going to do is you are just going to mark however wide you want your strip to be. So a lot of times what I will do, and if this line looks pretty straight, then I just kind of call it straight. So because it doesn't have to be perfect, but usually what I do, I like them about a ½ an inch. This ruler is a little wider than an inch. But so I just take my ruler and I go ahead and just draw a line the width of my ruler all the way across. And then once I get all the way to the other side, what I do is I come in and I take the first one and I divide it in half. Now I know that my ruler, that the halfway point is 5/8, because the width of my, actually it's 5/8 plus a 1/16. Sorry about that. Let's see, 5/8 plus a 1/16, which is like 11/16, I think. Whoops, that's definitely not where I need to be. I need to be over there. And right there. Alrighty, so once you get that first one, if you're doing it the way that I did it, where you just did the width of your ruler, once you've divided the first one in half, then you can take your ruler and put it on that line, and that will divide the next one in half. And my marker, and this is a permanent marker. Permanent markers write well on shiny surfaces where other markers a lot of times will not. And we're going to use alcohol ink on this. I'm using a brown permanent marker because it will not bother me if that brown mixes with the colors I'm going to use. I didn't want to use a black permanent marker because I didn't want to get that muddied black into my alcohol ink. But the brown, I don't think is going to bother me. So then I've done that all the way across. And just kind of show you how that is then. And then you're just going to cut all of those out. And once you cut them out, then you are going to, let me just cut one of these. This is one I started earlier. Now, we've got this messy part on this end, but once you've cut them all to the same width, then the way that I do this, and you can do this any measurements, you can do any width of your plastic, you can do it thinner, you can do it thicker, you can do it however you want. You can do the middle one thicker and then a little thinner and thinner as you go. You can do as many layers. This is just a stepping off point to just, there's so many things you can do. So what I do is I take the very first one and I cut it at 12 inches. Now I don't bother marking and that type of thing. I just hold it on there and go 12 inches. Then I do 10 inches and then I do 8 inches. So that I have 3 pieces. That's an extra. Oh, that's one of the original ones. So here I have 12, 10, An 8. Okay. Just wanted to make sure I had those measurements right. And this was the one that, yep, this is a full-size piece. Okay. And then what you're going to do is you're going to put alcohol ink on them, any color that you want to. You might want to do 3 different colors. Like the one I have in my window has a blue layer and a yellow layer and a red layer. But you can do it however feels right to you, whatever colors you want, whatever matches your decor or the decor of who you're making it for. And then you just go ahead and you just use your alcohol ink to put the color onto the plastic. And I put an awful lot on there, so it's coming out very dark. But that's okay with me. And if you want to lighten it up, you can just add a little bit of rubbing alcohol. They do have like a, there's something that you can buy as, you know, like to give it a bit of a different look. So this is what it looks like. And then I forget what they call it, but the alcohol inks do have some kind of like an extended, I don't know what you call it. Anyways, I use rubbing alcohol, just a little tiny drop of rubbing alcohol on there. And then you put that on there and it kind of makes your rubbing alcohol move a little bit. And it just gives it a little bit of a different look. Now I think I have a lot of ink on this ink pad, and so that's still making it very dark, but let's see. So now we've got this look where the alcohol was used, and then this is what it looks like where there was no alcohol used. Where you put the alcohol on there, it blends it together more, and it gives it a really pretty kind of it just kind of models the ink a little bit. And so I'm going to do it to the rest of it. And now that I've already got the alcohol on here, if I use this on the next 2, it will do the same thing. And if it's not doing it enough, I can just add a little more alcohol or add a little more ink or whatever. However you want to do it. You can leave them clear if you want to. You could do a colored one, a clear one, a colored one. However you, you know, whatever you think is good, however you want to do it, that's how you do it. No, I'm not. All right, so I'm going to show you just a little bit here. Okay, so this is one that's orange, and it doesn't have anything on it. Well, it has old inks on it. And so what I'm going to do is we're going to see if I put some rubbing alcohol on here, basically to just reconstitute the alcohol ink that's on here. We're going to see what it does. Because I always think about that after I've already put ink on it. Yep, see, that rubbing alcohol will bring this pad back to life because it's got so much ink in it. And these pads are, they're felt pads. They're not, whether you buy them, you know, with your blocks or whether you make your own. I just cut up pieces of felt, but that's what they're made out of. They're made out of felt for the alcohol ink. So here is our orange. And that was without even using any orange ink because it's already in that pad. And so I think I will do a green one also. And let's try just putting a little alcohol on this pad and see how it works. Now this is quite close to the color of the paper. Well, you know, like tones. So I'll show you what it looks like with the white paper in just a second. And so that you don't get exactly the same look too, if you turn your pad so it's not the same pattern all the way across. Oops, because it really does kind of give you a pattern a little bit. Of course, the rubbing alcohol helps that change also, because that kind of makes it move in whatever direction it feels like making it move at the time. And so here is our green level. So I just think that's very cool. And then you're going to want them to dry, which I should have done like an extra set, but I didn't. Well, you know what? We'll let those set for just a second, because we're going to put a dangle down in the middle of it. So I just have a little piece of chain here. This was off of a broken necklace. And so I'm just going to use that. And I'm going to put a little charm on it. And if you don't have a jump ring, then I'm going to quickly show you how to make them. We've done this a million times before. But if you're new, you're just going to take anything round, however big a round that is. That's how big your jump ring's going to be. But I don't need a lot, so I'm going to only wrap it a few times. But just wrap it around something round, kind of squish it together. Get it good and tight. Basically, you're kind of making like the looks of a little spring. And take it off of there. And then just cut that off. Okay, then what you're going to do is you've got the original flat piece right there. Whoops. Okay, as you started to wrap it around your pen or whatever it was that was round, you've got the little piece that you started with there. So that piece is not as rounded as all the rest. So we're going to cut that little bit off at a point where it is nice and round. Hang on to it when you cut. Okay, so now it's round all the way until you get to the other end where you stopped. Now you're going to take the flat part of your nippers, you're going to push it right up against the wire where you just cut, and then put the point of your nippers on the next circle over and nip it off. And so that makes it so that your where it breaks, it's right level with each other, right even with each other. And so you're just going to do that again. Put the edge of your nippers against that wire and then nip it right there. You can't nip more than one wire at a time, so if they're a little too close, move it out just a little bit. I suppose maybe you could nip 2 wires at one time. I can't push that hard, but also it might not make everything the way it should be. So now this even looks like one, but it's got a very flat spot there, so I probably would not use that, but for something like this you could. For jewelry you wouldn't want to. Alrighty, so now we've got our jump ring, and we're just going to put that in the last loop of our chain, and we're going to do this here, and there we go. Now we're going to hang that right in the middle of our little sun catcher here. Okay, now I'm going to bend this back. Hold on, I will measure it for you. That is 5/8 of an inch. So just over half an inch. Half an inch is fine. And then what I do is I just hold this one, line it up at the top like that, and then I look at it and I go, okay, I got to bend it right there. So now those two will go together. And see, you could do it just like that and just put the little charm in there. Let the little charm hang in the middle, and even that would be really pretty. I just like to do layers, and like I said, I use them for Suncatcher, so I like the different layers with the different colors. But I'm going to, this is the next layer. This one is 10 inches. That one was 12. This one is 10. I know I need to bend that right there. And just kind of make sure that it's pretty straight. And then just going to put that one there. And if you don't want to bend them, hardly at all, you can just kind of put them together and put a pinch in them, and then you've got more of a teardrop shape. You can also bend the bottom, put a bend in the bottom, and then you'll have like this. So there it is. It was round, and all I did was I just flattened up the bottom, and then it's kind of you know, what do you call that, like the shape of an eye. So you can do that too. So you can bend them any way you want. There's just like so many different things that you can do with this. I'm going to take this one. Just hold that up to the top and say I need to bend it right there. And then do the other side. But yes, it's just the different things that you can do with this are just really unlimited. So there we go. So then we're going to take this one, and this one, and this one, and you're just going to line them all up together. And then depending on your hole punch, really, like this one, I do have like a crocodile or something that's really heavy. I'm not sure if this will go through all 3 layers or not. I'm going to try it. And if it won't, it did, I think. Okay. If it wouldn't, then you just punch one and then hold the other one up there and line it up and punch the next one and punch the next one. So now we've got those. And now we're going to do these. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to line these up. I've already got a hole punch through the first 3, so even though I've got 6 layers here or whatever, the first 3 are already punched, so this will only have to punch through 3. So I'm going to line that up where that hole is, hopefully. And then, no, I didn't line it up correctly. I let the other 2 layers move after I lined up the blue one. There we go. And on your hole punches, if you don't know, there's this little like flappy thing here. A lot of times stuff will get stuck on there and you're trying to pull it off. And if it's a thin piece of paper, sometimes you can rip it. That's what this little flappy thing is for. If you take that flappy thing and push down on it, it will push your stuff off of the little post there. All right, so now that we have this all done, then we're just going to take a jump ring. The first thing we're going to do is decide, because this is the smallest one, this will be hanging right in here. So I need to decide, like, how long do I want it as it's hanging. So that looks pretty good right about there. The hole is there, which means that I want to take apart this chain right there. Okay. And take that off. Okay. So now what we're going to do is we are going to go, whenever you open a jump ring or close a jump ring, don't ever pull it apart this way. Always go away from each other. So we're going to put it on the blue one. And you know what? I put those holes down so far that my jump ring doesn't want to fit very well. So I'm going to trim a little bit off the top so that my hole is a little closer to the top. And then I'm going to do the same thing on the other side. Okay, now let's see how it works. So put the jump ring through the blue one and the orange one and the green one, like that. Then put your chain on, and then you need the green one. hold it on there because it'll want to pop off. And then the orange one, hold it on there. And then the blue one. And then close your jump ring. And there we go. And now this is what your ornament looks like. Angel's kind of backwards, but I did pick a charm that looks good from either side. And when you hang it up, it hangs right in the middle, you know, because we've got it right through the hole in the middle, so it hangs right in the middle. And then you can just put whatever you'd like on the top. Maybe put another jump ring on the top to connect a ribbon to, or another piece of chain, or whatever it is that you're going to want to hang it with. You can go ahead and then put it on that jump ring, or a Christmas ornament hook if you are going to use it as a Christmas ornament. So there we go. There is our Christmas ornament Suncatcher, and like I said, I love to hang them in my window. Actually, now that this one's done, it'll go in the other window opposite. Oh, no, it won't, because I have a stained glass in there. So it'll probably go in the same window as my other one. But I really do like these, and I like the way that the sun shines through the alcohol ink in the plastic. So thank you very much for stopping by. I really do appreciate you. And I hope that you all have an outstanding day. Bye-bye.